This is Ronnie Span with another interview for my teacher identity project for public works education 1900. I'm sitting here with Eyenga Bokamba, correct?
Bokamba.
Bokamba. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
And she's gonna give us her input and her views on teacher identity and how it pertains to the classroom and dealing with students. First of all, Eyenga, can you give us a little bit of background about yourself and your experience in the classroom and dealing with children?
Sure. Thank you, first of all, for having me on your program. I am a veteran teacher, so I've been working with children for about 20 years. I started off in Minneapolis Public Schools working with the Minnesota Humanities Commission and doing some children's literacy with pregnant and parenting teens. That was a lot of fun, but they closed that school down, so that I found myself going back to school after my BA, getting my teaching certificate. And then from there, when I was at the University of Minnesota, one of my professors asked me if I wanted to come look at his department, and join them out in the suburbs. And, internally I was like, no. But then, my parents taught me to always accept invitation and whatnot. So I went out there, and of course I fell in love with all the department people and ended up spending about 13 years of my career out there.
Okay.
And then I had an opportunity to go back to grad school. I got a fellowship to go for free, and it was a lovely opportunity for me and my family. So we all moved out there, and so I got a master's in arts and education. And started looking at artistic processes as learning processes, and that was at the Graduate School of Education at Harvard. It was a lot of fun.
Okay.
And I came back and then worked with alternative kids in the Hopkins School District again. These are young people who basically they're like 18, 19, 20, could not get their GED or their diploma, struggling with addiction issues, being homeless, sexuality issues, family trauma, loss and death, all this kind of stuff. So we were basically there to help them, get their lives on track academically.
Okay.
So that was really fun. So I was head of department there. And then from there, I made the jump into being here at Pillsbury House, which is where we're sitting now. And I'm in charge of the youth arts programming here. So.
All right, just so you know, I graduated from Hopkins High School.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Okay, we need to talk about that.
We'll talk about that definitely. So working here at the Pillsbury House, what demographic do you serve? Like, what is the spread of the groups that come in, the ethnic groups?
So ethnically speaking, so we probably highest would be people who are speaking Spanish, Latino families, and then African American families probably second, and then people of European descent third, and then actually I want to amend that whole statement by saying that the highest percentage of the kids here are actually multiracial.
Multiracial,
so it's a very interesting combination of families. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And as far as your staff.
So I have 2 young women who work with me who are African American, 2 who are of European descent. Let's see, the rest of my department, so my supervisor is of Asian heritage. I feel like I'm leaving some people out. Oh, the teaching artists are also very diverse as well. So African American.
Masa and.
Yep, Mr. Masa is Japanese. Ms. Pramila is East Indian. And Ms. Angela is of European descent.
Okay. That's what I love about this place, is that it is literally it is the place where everybody comes and gets along and it works, I mean, it's such a harmonious vibe here.
Absolutely.
Now, being an educator, and you said you worked out in Hopkins school district and everything, and I'm familiar very much with Hopkins, and I know it's a predominantly white school district. How were you accepted when you first got there by students and staff?
I feel like I was accepted fairly well. At that time, the English department was, predominantly white. The real breakdown was young teachers versus old teachers. I have to say that.
Okay.
for better or worse. I mean, so we had people we really looked up to in the department, and
Right.
they were, in their like late 50s, 60s, really, vital and thin and energetic and throwing jokes around and stuff like that. And so we aspired to be like them.
Okay.
And then there was the breakdown of like who works with which types of students. So I became known as a teacher who was able to work with a wide variety of students, especially young people who are artists,
Okay.
especially the kids of color. The special ed department thought I did really well with them, so they would pile those kids into my classes.
Okay.
So then after a while, I was like, wait, this is kind of a legal issue because you're supposed to have, some helpers when you're doing work with special ed kids. You need
Right.
adult, people who are, trained and supervised and stuff. So I was always willing, but then it was like the negotiation to get the help that you really needed was
Correct.
then that was coming down my way. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I'm glad you bring up that the age issue because the three of the major components of the teacher identity thing that I've been focusing these on have been race and gender, or actually the two have been race and gender, and age is should also be equally important.
Right.
When you were as an educator, what has been one of the biggest challenges that you faced as a black female educator?
Biggest challenges. I guess I would have to say trying to get buy-in to the things I wanted to do
Okay.
with the students, especially I consider myself an experiential educator.
Okay.
So many of the projects that I want to do, I really believe in project-based education and arts education, obviously. And the ways that traditional schools are set up, we're just not set up to accommodate those kinds of experiences for kids.
Okay.
And so what I was constantly finding myself doing is fundraising outside of the classroom and trying to get all those resources in. I would matter of fact, I would go down to the principal's office, try to catch him first thing in the day, and he would see me coming and he was like, yes, whatever you need, yes, because he just did not
Okay.
want to talk to me. He was
Right.
like, okay, you're putting on this extraordinary XYZ. Okay, how much do you need? Don't come in the office. How much do you need?
Right.
I'm like, I think 500 would be good. He's like, okay, all right, go see my secretary.
Right.
That kind of thing. So after a while, I got known for that,
Okay.
and then that set me aside from the rest of my colleagues, whom I love dearly. They're all wonderful people. It's just some of us would take risks and others would not.
Okay.
And so that was a huge breakdown. And that went across race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, everything. It was like, I don't know, some of us were outside of the box and people were inside the box. And I happened to be an outside of the box
person, and that worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you dealt with the students there, how was your interaction with the white students? And when I'm asking this, I'm asking in the context of when you first arrived, because of course after you've been there,
Right.
after we go anywhere, everybody tends to warm up to us,
Right.
But I'm more interested in like the initial, if you can recall.
Yeah. I had really good interactions with them. I think one of the things that I think is worth mentioning is that the Hopkins School District is a liberal. It's in a liberal community, so I think that would be. So I think I would have had a different experience if I would have been in a different suburban district. I think the presence of my Jewish students and their families and their progressive ideas really sort of shaped the whole kind of atmosphere, if you will.
Okay.
And really, I think, encourage the non-Jewish people to really kind of open up in terms of some diversity issues and also political issues and what have you.
All right.
So, so I felt like I had a pretty positive experience at the beginning and continue to.
And I'm pretty sure any kid that's come under your care has benefited greatly. Do you think between the black students and the white students, I know with the black students, seeing you there and having your presence there empowered them, and they look to you for support.
Yeah.
Do you think that the white students felt the same, maybe not to the same degree or to the same quality, but do you think that they still got the same benefit from your presence?
I would hope so. I think what's interesting about this whole field is that we just don't know.
Right.
We have absolutely no idea. Somebody once told me, so if you didn't have to serve anybody for the rest of your life, but you knew that you were going to help one person, like what would you do? And the answer is still the same. So I would just sort of help everybody, because you don't know what's really happening and when they're going to process the pieces that they got from you.
Right.
I've had students come back and visit. They come and they tell you stories, and then they remind you of what happened in their particular class, and they would say these things that I said, and I'm like, I don't remember saying that, but it stuck with them. Something, right? So the difference between the lessons that the kids are getting and what you think you're teaching may be completely different.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I totally
So
understand.
I think the piece that I've gotten back from students over the years is that they felt respected by me as learners, and they felt like they had freedom to explore different topics and different ways of writing, different ways of exploring history and theater and all that kind of stuff in a way that they didn't feel like they had the opportunity to do with other teachers.
Right.
So that's the piece that I've gotten back, the feedback that I've gotten back, which is very interesting.
All right.
Because I think I am concerned about that, but they experience it differently than I think I intended, which is the difference between teacher and student, right?
Right.
So it's fascinating.
Yeah, but no, I'm there to respect as learners. I like that. You know? Yeah, because I feel that a lot of kids in a lot of classrooms across the world don't feel respected by their teachers.
Yep.
They feel like, and that's a lot of what Christy kind of goes over with us in class is the power issues behind teachers and students.
Yep.
A kid empowered class or versus a teacher empowered class. And being here, I see that this is very much there's guidance here, but the kids have a lot of they have a lot of power, and they have a lot of say so on what it is that they're going to do.
Yeah.
And let's see, my next question I would want to ask you is what do you think what it is that you guys have going on here? What do you think it would take to ever work that into like a classroom situation in public schools?
Well, first of all, I would love for teachers to be trained here. I've been talking about that a lot.
Okay.
A lot. I'm really excited about that possibility. Because I went through teacher training, and it was what it was, right?
Right.
But to come into an environment where people can see the relationships that we form with the children here,
yes.
and like you said before, the respect that we have for them, and the choices that they get to make in a democratic situation, it's really beautiful.
Right.
And I think one of the things in terms of cultural competency that a lot of my colleagues struggle with is that they don't know. It's like they don't know how to see the child. They don't. They're worried that they're going to do something wrong. They want to treat them right if it's a child of color or a child of a different race than they are, and they just struggle and they have so much anxiety over it. They can't open their hearts.
Right.
They're just so worried about something going wrong.
Right.
And what I would love to see is for teachers to have an opportunity to witness what's happening in terms of the relationship building between adults and kids here.
Yes.
Because one of the things I think that's different between the schools and a place like this is that we try to invite the kids into artistic and intellectual challenges that we are facing as artists. So the level of questioning, the amount of connection between what we're doing as professionals and what they're doing as kids, it's like there's no separation.
Okay.
And so the level of challenge is very high.
So you guys give them a chance to sharpen their critical thinking skills.
Exactly. That's very important to us here. And this whole notion of how do you conceptualize a piece? What's the difference between like conceptualizing something and executing it? I mean, there's a whole world between those two things.
Right.
I have a million ideas. Are they going to come out? I don't know. But I could get sharpened on both ends. And then when it's time to look at how to improve that piece, there's critique.
Right.
That's an artistic process, you know. And then there's like improvisation, learning how to mess around with the rules in order to make something better.
Right.
These are the things that we get to do here in the arts that I didn't get to do in a regular public school, because bottom line, as a department, we agreed that we would cover certain things. Okay. Right? Cover certain texts, cover certain writing styles, blah, blah. So within that, I'd always be like, okay, this one's going to be a theater piece, this one's going to be a movie. Yeah, that's fine. You can do about 3 of those. Right. And then the rest have to just be papers.
Right.
You know, I mean, you can only, So I really enjoy what we get to do here.
Okay, yeah, me too. Let's see. My last question. For those people in my class or those people that will get a chance to view this blog that are in the education, as far as teacher identity, what wisdom or what message could you leave with them?
That's a really great question,
You know I'm full of them.
Oh no. So I think it's really important for teachers to think about where their security comes from. Because if their security comes from being right all the time, that's a tricky setup for students in terms of that relationship, that power balance.
Right.
If you need to be right all the time, if you need to work on your ego, you got to work it out somewhere else.
Yeah.
In the gym.
Right.
I don't know. Something.
Yeah. No, the classroom is
classroom's
definitely
not the place to work out the ego stuff. And as much as the thing I think that's benefited me most as a teacher, when I had an opportunity to get the Bush Fellowship, basically sort of like $79,000 sort of like just handed to me to do this, this graduate work. It was so amazing for me to just let myself think about what I wanted to learn, to just open those gates wide open and just put one foot in front of the other and just stand on the edge of my own learning,
right,
and open myself up to those questions. I think I'm a much better teacher now that I've had that opportunity. And if I promise all you people out in TV land, if I ever get $1 million, or more, I would definitely pay for all of you all to go and do something amazing with your lives. Explore something in Italy, go scuba diving somewhere south of France, anything that's interesting. Because we as teachers have to continue to learn.
Yes.
And that's the piece that connects to our children, to our students. And if we're not interested in doing that, I would say this is probably the wrong profession.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You have been this is just a jewel of an interview. I am so proud of this. I'm happy that I included you. I'm going to end